Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to the follow-up of the Star Forcing event. As you guys know, if you were watching the previous part, we got a lot of gear upgraded to pretty good stars, and I wanted to start doing some cubing upgrades to make sure that these gears were usable. So just quickly go through the damage gear. I have it all equipped at the moment, and we'll go through mostly the ones that have changed. The first two are the rings that have got to 17 star, and both of these have nothing on at the moment, but I will cube them in the second half of this video because as I'm making it right now, I'm currently waiting for the unique potential scroll that is in the Starlight Chariot. So I'm just waiting to be able to get these two, and I'll put them on these two accessories. On top of that, we have our Black Bean mark, which is currently sitting at Epic. And then on top of that, we have some 21 star equips that I hit during the Star Forcing event, which are my hat, my glove, my overall, my shoe, and my cape. So a lot of really big gains from the Star Forcing event. Pretty lucky overall, but thankfully I farmed a lot for the event and I managed to hit with the money that I farmed. So because these guys are all 21 star, it means that they are pretty much good to go to Legendary. Typically I don't like upgrading things with cubes until the item's done, so I probably won't be touching things like my shoulder, and of course obviously not my weapon or my earrings or belt because they're not completed items at the moment. So for this video, I'm just mostly going to be cubing things up. I don't know if there'll be a lot of gameplay or a lot of talking, but I just wanted to give you guys the content that is upgrading these gears. Before I go into upgrading these gears though, just quickly have a look at my stat. In my damage hyperstats, I'm currently sitting in just underneath 15k, and with all these things potted up, there's a good chance that I'll get a lot of stat from this. The only thing that I won't be looking for stat on will be the gloves, because gloves have a special potential line called crit damage, and that will be what I'll be looking for these gloves. If I'm very lucky, I might be able to get 2 lines of crit damage, but it's extremely unlikely, so probably 1 line of crit damage and then whatever else. Okay, let's get on with cubing. I have just about 3 billion farmed up, and hopefully this will be enough to get some of the gear to a good spot. For this, I'll probably start by getting everything to unique first, so these 5 items to unique, and then I'll start by legendarying these things one at a time. So wish me luck guys, hopefully we get something fun out of these cubes. So I'm just watching back myself cubing, and I realized that I wasn't very lucky when it came to the tiering up from epic to unique. Usually when you tier things up from epic to unique, the average is maybe 15 to 20 on the bad side. And as you can see, it's just refusing to tier anything up at the beginning, which is fine. There's not much we can really do about it. And the best thing that I can really say about this is when this does happen and your items are being really stubborn to tier up, just go one by one and try to find the ones that are the worst out of the bunch that you're trying to tier up. For me, I had some items that were 6 dex and then a little bit of stat, which is technically a little bit better than some other items. So I would always go back and forth between the worst items until they got to tier up. So it did take a little bit to tier them up, but once we got there, and once the unique started rolling, that's when I decided to push the rest of my black cubes onto my gloves. If I needed anything to go to legendary, it was definitely the gloves, because crit damage is a stat that gives a lot of damage, and only the gloves can get this particular stat line. Once I got the crit damage line and then got everything else to unique, I started using the red cubes to try to roll for some useful lines on these unique gears. I don't think that pushing for legendary at the moment is a good idea because I have very little money at this point, and pushing from unique to legendary can be pretty expensive, so I just decided to gamble the chances of getting a useful line with the red cubes, and I was pretty much just looking for 2 lines of any stat, so basically hoping for 12% dex of some sort or 15% dex. Again, like before, I would go and finish one item at a time, even if it was just 9%, and then go to the next one that might have nothing on it, just so that I can get a little bit of gain across each of the items. So like I said, the next day I got the unique scrolls from the Starlight Chariot event, and I decided to use these both on my rings. There wasn't any particular reason why I chose these 2 items, I just knew that these were going to be my damage gear for this character, so I figured I'll just put the unique scrolls on here and whatever happens, happens. Then right afterwards I tried to roll for useful lines of dex, and honestly it was kind of down bad. I pretty much was just spending money as soon as I got it, from whatever sources, daily bosses, Ursus, whatever it was. And it did take me a fair while for these rings to be useful. You can see I did it over various amount of sessions to be able to get these rings to be something useful. But I think at the end of the day it was worth it because damage gear is probably going to stick with me for the rest of the game. At this point you're probably wondering why I'm showing you myself farming and it's so blurry. It's just a part that I had streamed where I decided to actually farm because I ran out of money so I could actually cube. And right after the farming session on stream I decided to cube a lot of my items. The Kana ring eventually got to 1 line of stat. And luckily for me I actually managed to get a tier up on the reinforced ring with the red cube. It doesn't happen too often, but it can happen with the red cube, and it's just one of those things that is nice to have when you're cubing for unique to legendary with red cubes. From there, I try to get the reinforced ring to at least 2 lines, because on the legendary tier, 2 lines of stat is pretty good value. 21% stat is a lot more than what you would get at all on the unique tier, unless you happen to get 3-line unique. And then from there, I went back for my unique items that were only 1 line of stat. For example, the Kana ring was at 9%, and I tried to re-roll it for something higher, like 12 or 15. Eventually I did hit the 12% on the Kana ring, so then I decided to move on to the next item, which was my hat. And luckily for me, the hat actually tiered up to legendary, also with the red cube. But unlike my ring, I didn't try to go for 2 lines, because on armor pieces it's typically more difficult to hit 2 lines. There's just a lot more junk lines on these items, so it usually isn't worth your effort or meso to 2 line them early when you have other things that you have to upgrade. So the last main upgrade that I wanted to talk about was actually my secondary. So from the previous time that I showed my secondary, it was 1 line boss damage and 1 line attack, which I decided to settle on at the beginning because I didn't really want to reroll 2 usable lines. Not to mention the top line itself was actually 12% damage as well, so it was kind of like 2.5 usable lines. But if I want to be able to clear easy Lucid or any of the more difficult bosses, I'm going to need more IED for this character. Because of how low my Legion is, I don't have access to the IED board, and I don't have all my links created because it is a still new account and I haven't really worked on my links as much as I'd like. So the only way I can really compensate for this is by rolling more lines on my secondary and my weapon. Of course I can also roll technically on my emblem as well, but given the fact that it is a 3 attack emblem, I won't be re-rolling that, so I have to compensate in other ways. Originally when I was rolling my secondary, I was going to stop on 1 line of attack and 1 line of IED, and judging by how much I had left over, I might have considered to re-roll it, but luckily for me, I managed to hit a 3 usable secondary, which had 1 line of boss damage, 1 line of IED, and 1 line of attack, which is honestly probably the best secondary I could have asked for at the time. This covers pretty much all my bases. It has the 1 line of attack so I can continue training no problem, because my old secondary only had 1 line. Didn't really lose much from losing the damage line. I still kept the boss damage line that I had, and I basically swapped the damage line out with IED, which pushed my IED up quite a lot. Then for the remainder of this cubing session, I decided to try my luck on the legendary hat that I already had. I said I wasn't going to try for 2 lines, but I had enough spare cubes to reasonably get back to 12%, and luckily I managed to hit 18% on the hat. And then with the rest of the cubes, I tried to go again on the Kana ring because it was only at 12%, aiming for 15% or 2 lines on the unique line. And I got very lucky and managed to hit 3 lines on the unique, going for 21%, and now I don't need to go for legendary on the Kana ring anymore. And with that, that's pretty much all the cubing upgrades that I did. There were only 2 things that I didn't show on screen that I cubed, which were my 2 event rings, because honestly it was a little bit boring. The way that I got them to Epic was originally through Ursus. You can buy them in Ursus and you get 50% scrolls, and luckily for me, they did go within a reasonable amount of tries. I think it was 4 scrolls or something in total. And then I used some black cubes to get them up to unique. They didn't really hit anything interesting, so one's at 9% all stat, and the other one is at 12%. Both of these rings are in like decent shape, and because this one's at 9%, I do have some leftover red cubes that I'm willing to throw at it, so let's see what we can get. Okay, so we actually managed to hit 15% unique, which is great. And I think with that, I won't try any further. I think with 2 cubes, it's kind of unlikely that I'll hit 2 lines, even on this one. And I think that'll be it for the cubing for this video. That's all the cubing that I wanted to go through. Ideally, I would like to try to go for this one to unique as well, but this one's already sitting at 9%, so I'm quite happy with it as it is until I get some more money. Just to recap, let's quickly go through all the equipment. So I've got my reinforced ring at 2-line legendary, so 21%. We've got a 12% event ring and a 15% event ring. And for the last 17 star ring, we have a 21% as well. We've seen the 2 pendants already that I hit during DMT. I've got a 27% and a 24%, so these are pretty good for the time being. For this Dom pendant, I'm most likely going to be using this for the rest of the series. I don't think I want to go for a Sweetwater pendant because it's 400 Demeros and it's quite expensive, and then I have to re-roll the potential again. So I think, honestly, this Dom pendant is probably going to sit as it is. This one most likely going to 17 star on the next event. As for this Alien pendant, this is just placeholder gear for the time being until I can get a better pendant, which will probably be the Reinforced pendant. Speaking of the Reinforced gear, they haven't really changed much. Both of them are just sitting at 6% and 16 stars, so these will eventually be fodder for my superior gear. For the hat, you guys just saw I rolled a 18%, so pretty nice there. I don't have a face accessory just yet. What I have been doing on the side is I've been doing Commercy. I know I said I wasn't really going to try to do Commercy, but the thing is there aren't that many good face accessories in the game, especially after the Zakem accessory. Unfortunately, I do have to do Commercy to get the Sweetwater tattoo, and hopefully I'll be able to Starforce up in a upcoming event. For the Black Bean mark, we just have it sitting at 9% dex. For the top, we have 12%. For the shoe, we have 15%. For the cape, I got pretty lucky on this and got 18%, so this is pretty much like a legendary item without having to tear up to legendary, so I'm most likely going to keep this for a long while. For the gloves, I've got 1 line of crit damage, which is what you usually want to look for when it comes to legendary gloves. And ideally, you would have it with some form of stat, and for me, I've just got 1 line of all stat, so that's good enough. I'm not going to complain about that. Shoulder is still in progress, so I've left it at Epic for the time being, and it's just sitting at 6% dex. For the emblem, we've got 33 attack, and for the secondary that we saw earlier, we've got 40 IED, 35 boss, and 9% attack. This is what my arcane symbols are currently looking at. I'm gaining 7.6k dex just from my symbols, and I'm waiting on a few levels right now. I'm just trying to save money. These arcane symbols aren't holding me back from training in the map that I'm in at the moment, so I'm okay just leaving it unupgraded and coming back to this after an event. With all these items, let's have a look at my stat. I'm currently sitting at 19k, working my way towards 20k. I think with a few more potentials fixed up, I could probably hit the 20k mark pretty reasonably, alongside a few more upgrades on my arcane symbols. So we're doing pretty good progress right now. It's quite a lot faster thanks to these extra stars that I managed to get on the Star Forcing event, so very lucky on that one. Hopefully the luck carries over in the next event that we'll have, which I believe is another 5, 10, 15, but that one won't have the 30% off like we just had in the Shining Star Force. To round things up, I wanted to quickly talk about what are my upgrades I'm planning to do. The first one, of course, is the Akechi weapon that hopefully we'll be able to get soon. I'm on 16 coins at the moment out of the 20 that we need, and if I'm lucky, I might be able to get 4 from the next time that I kill Akechi, but it's not looking too likely at the moment because I think for the last couple of weeks I've just been getting 3 drops, so unfortunately it might take me another 2 weeks to get. But hopefully we do get this weapon soon, and the idea here is to try to get it to as high a star as I can, and then upgrading it to legendary with at least 1 line of attack and IED. I keep emphasizing the IED because that's currently one of my biggest blockers for this character. As of right now, I'm at just about 81 IED clean, and with my fams on, I'm at 83. And with 1 more line on the Akechi weapon, it should push me closer to 90, on top of the set bonuses I will get from the Akechi set, and also the reinforced set that I am pretty close to getting as well, which will give me another 15% IED. Just some other quick gains that I wanted to talk about was my Legion, or my Links actually. So recently I've gotten my Luminous, my Demon Avenger, and my Beast Tamer to higher levels. So I've been doing my Luminous and my Beast Tamer as my burning characters. And my Demon Avenger has been bonked all the way from wherever it was at the beginning of the series, all the way to 200. And then I started using the event minigame to get it to where it is. Once my BT hits level 202, I'll be able to use the potions that we get from this event, from the Starlight Chariot event. And we get 16 total EXP potions, and that should get all 3 of these links all the way up to 210. That way I'll have all these guys at level 3 links, and that will give me a lot of extra damage. And then I'll also be able to move on from these characters and work on other links. With my BT now at 202, I think I should be exactly enough to get all 3 of my links to 210. So let's claim our potions. So my BT will take 8 of them, and I'll split the other 8 between the other 2 characters. So at level 210 we get our level 3 BT Link skill, and the Link skill will give us 10% crit rate and 10% boss damage, which is pretty good. A nice added benefit about BT is that the Legion block is actually IED, which is something that I've been lacking, so I'm not going to complain about the extra IED I get from this character. Anyway, let's move on to the other ones. So for my Luminous, it's going to get to level 210 as well, and for this Link skill, it's going to give me a lot more IED. Currently it is level 2, which gives me 15, and once it levels up another 3 times, it will be 20% IED in total. With the last 5 potions, I want to move them over onto my Demon Avenger to get that one also to 210. For Demon Avenger, for hitting level 210, the level 3 Link skill makes it go from 10% damage to 15% damage, which is great. So in total, across the 3 characters, I gained a lot of boss damage, some IED, and also some damage. All these will add up to getting my character to be a lot stronger, and getting level 3 Links generally out of the way is always good. And there's still a few more that I need to work on, but getting some of the more annoying ones, in my opinion, out of the way is quite nice. And just being able to Terra Burn these made it significantly faster, so I probably won't be able to get level 3 Links anytime soon after these. But depending on what they give us in the next upcoming events, I might be able to push for more level 3 Links. But for now, I'm most likely going to be working on more level 2 Links and slowly working my way from there. Let's have a quick look again at our stats now that we've got our level 3 Links up. I have them all equipped currently, and you can see my ID, my boss damage went up a little bit, and then my range I'm sure went up a little bit as well. With my familiars out, my ID is currently at 84% or something like that. So with a little bit more gains, mostly on the weapon to be made, I should be able to get pretty close to being able to clear easy Lucid once I get the Akechi weapon. And once I get a few more upgrades, including things like the Reinforced Pendant to complete the Reinforced set, and of course replacing this face accessory with a Sweetwater tattoo, I feel like my character will be in a very solid spot to do majority of the content that I wanted to aim for. And with that, that's pretty much all I wanted to go through regarding this character. We did a lot of upgrades from the Star Forcing event, and now we cubed everything up into something usable. And now we're pretty much in a bit of a waiting room, waiting for our currencies to build up so then we can buy all the things. Like the Akechi weapon, I'm waiting for the coins. Sweetwater, I'm waiting for my dineros to come up. And for my Reinforced Pendant, of course, I'm also waiting on Golix. So there's a lot of time gates at the moment, so I'm kind of just stuck training and farming Meso for the upcoming Star Forcing event. Other than that, I'm not really doing anything else on this character. I might try to do some links in the background, but the main links that I wanted to work on were the Explorer links, but they all have a really long story that I kind of don't want to do until they let us skip it. So I'll see what I can do regarding the other links that might be usable, such as Arc and Demon Slayer. Anyway, I think that will be all for today. Before I end this video, I wanted to make a quick announcement. I've just been told that I've officially joined the Bean Brigade, which is the partnership program between Maplestory and content creators. This will mean that I'll be able to host events sponsored by Nexon, which will allow you guys to participate in to get some pretty cool stuff in the future. So if you guys want to know more about these giveaways and more about these events, I highly recommend that you stay subscribed to my channel for updates. On top of that, I'll be permanently moving my streams over from YouTube onto Twitch at twitch.tv/HalleyReboot. I don't have a stream schedule just yet, but I will be working on that quite soon. And lastly, I recently hit 4,000 subscribers on my channel, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you guys all for supporting me so far. None of this would have been possible without the support from all of you guys over the years. I never thought that this channel would reach the point where it is, and honestly, I appreciate every single one of you from the bottom of my heart. I think that'll be all for today. Thank you all again for watching. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next part. Take care. There's no way! What? Holy shit, it actually dropped.